It's always been an interest of mine, that idea. If I'm going to study relationships, if I'm going to research relationships, if I'm going to try and solve the biggest mysteries that are linked to relationships and potentially the center of our lives, then it makes sense to be interested in the question, well, what is the full potential of relationship? If we could write it down, if we could answer that question. And a lot of people have posited their ideas and their answers to that question. And I think that the answers to this question are directly linked to the game of life itself, or I affectionately call the prime directive of life itself, which is growth and maturation and the path of eldership. And I think when we understand that that is the soul's journey, and the idea that there are steps in the evolution of the psyche, Jung pointed to individuation. And not to digress, but I make that point distinct from any ideas of enlightenment or self-actualized, any of those kinds of words. I'm not particularly interested in that. I'm having a very human experience. I like my human experience. But becoming individuated as an idea is a critical step in the evolution of the psyche. And what are the other steps in the evolution of the psyche? And all of that's very interesting. But if we have any sense of that, then it doesn't take a genius to realize that when you enter someone's life and fall in love with them, hopefully, and commit to them, or your soul wants to commit to them and theirs to you, there are two basic categories of how you can approach that. It's what I can get from you and who I can be for you. And if we're living in a mutually respectful relationship, which we hope that we're at a time in our lives where we're mature enough to only commit to somebody who is able to be a benevolent force in our lives, then the mutual, meaning two-way, the mutual approach is one of who can I be for you? That is not, to be clear, the absence of our own needs and goals and passions and hobbies, and it's not the absence of our own self-interest. It's our own healthy self-interest, but with who can I be for you at the foreground of my approach to entering your life. Because I think that is the essence of a benevolent being, is it not? To be a force for good. And then when we understand that, then we understand that the opportunity of relationship then is to provide the space and the support for the person that you love to become their full selves. Not in a grandiose way, not in a, I want to be like Elon Musk, not anything like that, just the full potential of you in your life, in your shoes right now. Not in a grandiose way, not in an arrogant way, not in a competitive way, unless competition is the authentic piece of your life, but just in a becoming an elder kind of way, becoming the full potential of you as a human. Because no matter what age you are, just to be clear, in no time at all, you're going to be in your 50s, 60s, and 70s in a heartbeat. Let's just be clear about it. It's happening right now. But to enter someone's life profoundly, so enter someone's life and hold the space for their greatness unfolding and their maturation. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that it would be so beautiful to rewrite vows. The till death us do part, through sickness and in health, like it's close, but there's such a more profound way of speaking to that opportunity. Because that essentially is a, no matter how much we suffer, I'm not leaving kind of stance. And it has its place. And there's a lot that can be said for that unwavering commitment. When you realize that it's a jaw-dropping, astonishing privilege to be in anyone's life, that they would want to spend time with you, and that you have the opportunity to be a custodian of their true path, to be someone that can hold the space for their journey in life. It if it hasn't, then I really believe it should take your breath away when you get in touch with that opportunity. And when you do, it changes your perspective. It changes you from any inappropriate self-interest. It goes. There's appropriate, healthy, mature self-interest for sure. But then there's levels of self-interest that are not they're not love. They're something else. They're fear-based, control-based, subservience-based. And instead I believe that when you really get in touch with this, it's possibly the most moving thing you've ever considered in your life. And then we're not even speaking about parenting. Before we go into parenting, if we do, I'm reminded of the Quaker quote, which I've always loved. You lift me and I'll lift thee and we'll ascend together. I love that. That's it in a nutshell, is it not? And a number of things come out of that. Like, we have to move towards and through our fears. We have to process our fears because it's our fears that will have us behave in a way that is not for their growth and maturation. Really simple example. Let's say somebody is still afraid of their partner leaving them in a way that they say, I haven't, I haven't done any dancing for 20 years. Now the kids are at the house. I want to go back to dancing. And that partner arranges for that not to happen because they're afraid they might meet someone dancing. I'm going to deny you your soul's yearning, which is you want to go back and do some more salsa dancing or whatever the dancing is. Just a sort of reasonably clumsy example. We have to move through our fears. And that's one of the ways that maturation works. It brings up what we're afraid of so that we can process it, because we're not meant to be afraid of these things. So in summary, then, I help through the invitation of love. I support people in becoming deeply connected with these ideas because they change you. They're also fundamental in nature. Once you understand the fundamental opportunity and the profundity that's available in your relationship on a soul level, it changes you. And I think the idea of a soulmate is a very interesting one. And I think of it as, how do you become a mate of someone's soul? We have to have a soul-based relationship with them. And how you do that is in the day-to-day human mess and stuff that we deal with. There's a background or foreground understanding that this is a soul maturing, and it's a privilege to hold the space for this person to become their full selves. And then it becomes less about you and more about them. And I think I've not discovered a more beautiful and committed approach to being with another human being than this, because it's consistent with the soul's directive. It's consistent with whatever your spiritual or religious understanding is. It's consistent with the richest themes of any religion, which is love. But aside from religion, it's consistent with what essentially every person that's ever deeply studied the human condition comes to the same conclusion, which is we're meant to grow. So you want to have a relationship that's consistent with that natural order. And then magic is possible. And you'll never run out of anything to say. I think that's special too. I think that's actually really important. And you'll have things to celebrate along the way. There's lots of celebration as you discover the next piece of the puzzle, and as you integrate the next piece of awareness. There's always this thousands of celebrations to have with your partner over the course of a life that has growth and maturation as a known and discussed aspect of the human condition and therefore our relationship. And just in case you're listening to this and wondering, sounds like you're living in a textbook. It's really not. It's just a background understanding, you know, that helps you navigate and understand the challenges and issues that we deal with in our lives throughout our lives. In summary, in 35 years, I've not discovered a more beautiful, profound, and loving way to approach another human being. And it changes you for the better.